Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to our Srimad Bhagavatam overview class. So we'll start with our prayers. Om Jnanatimrandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuronmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजना सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगणा ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नित्यनामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So till now we have discussed that Brahmaji is having a conversation with Narada Muni, and Narada is asking about uh, the position of Brahmaji, and we saw how Brahmaji very clearly says that he is not the supreme controller. Supreme Lord is the absolute truth, and he is controlling everything, he is creating everything, and he is just recreating what is already being created. And that is what we discussed in the 5th chapter, then the 6th chapters, the 6 questions which were asked by Narada Muni. So these are the 5 questions. I'll just go back. Okay, these are the 6 questions which are asked by Narada Muni in the 5th chapter. And in response to this, Brahmaji says that Vasudev is the Lord Vasudev, Supreme Lord Vasudev is the shelter. It is the one who is providing all the ingredients. He is the shelter and the basis of this entire creation. And it is from Mahavishnu that all this creation is made. The process of creation is described by Brahmaji. And then he describes that Supreme Lord is the direct and indirect cause of this universe. And this is the 6th chapter where Brahmaji describes that from the Lord's subtle and the gross sense organs, all the elements in this world, all the sense objects, sense devatas, and subtle sense organs are produced. And then after this creation is done, it is Supreme Lord who is maintaining this creation. First of all, he creates, then maintains, and then he destroys also. And he describes the qualities of Mahavishnu, that is Karano Dakshay Vishnu. And he says that there is only one way to know him, that is by the process of devotional service. And then he describes about the Leela avatars of the Lord, which we discussed in the 7th chapter. There are so many avatars which are described by Brahmaji: Guna avatar, Leela avatar, Manvantar avatar, Shaktiavesh avatar, and the Vibhutis of the Lord. And in that, he also describes about Krishna's pastimes in great detail. And then he says that no one can describe the qualities of Krishna because they are unlimited. Because Shesha, he is reciting the qualities and the glories of the Lord since the beginning of the creation, but still he has not come to an end. So therefore, only by the mercy of the Lord and only by the mercy of the devotees of the Lord, one can know him. And then he describes a list of qualities, list of personalities who have already got this mercy. And he says, O Narada, you have got that mercy. You know about Krishna. You know about Vasudev. I know. And there are a list of qualities, list of personalities which are described. And then he describes that, it is not that only great personalities can get to know about Krishna. Even lower people and people who are low born, they can also get mercy of Krishna by the mercy of the devotees of the Lord. And therefore, after describing this whole Purusha avatars and Leela avatars, Brahmaji says that whoever knows these creation pastimes, he will not be bewildered by the material energy. And then Brahmaji at the end tells Narad Muni, "Oh Narada, now you preach this message. Expand whatever I have told you, expand and spread this message of Srimad Bhagavatam." Then after this, now we'll begin the 8th chapter, and today we'll be completing this second canto. So, in this 8th chapter, now Parikshit Maharaj, he poses his inquiry and eagerness. So, because in the 7th chapter end, Brahmaji told Narad Muni that, "Oh Narada, now you preach this message of Krishna consciousness, preach this Bhagavatam." So, Parikshit Maharaj asks in the beginning of this chapter, please explain and describe the preaching exploits of Narad Muni. So please explain where all Narad Muni went and how he preached this message. And he said, please describe this Hari Katha, because this Hari Katha produces auspiciousness for the whole world. Etad vedatumicchami tattvam tattva vidamvara harer adbhut viryasya katha loka sumangalah. Etad vedatumicchami, I want to know, I wish to know, tattvam tattva vidamvara, O best of those who are learned in the absolute truth, please tell me, harer adbhut viryasya, please describe the wonderful, auspicious potencies of Krishna, Supreme Lord. Because the narrations of Krishna, they are all auspicious. Loka sumangala. As Shukdev Goswami also described the same thing. Varyaneshu te prashna, krito lokahitam nripaha, atmavit sammata pumsam shrotavyadishu yapparaha. So the questions you have asked are glorious because they are for the welfare of people in general. So therefore, Parikshit Maharaj is telling to Shukdev Goswami, please describe about the pastimes of Krishna. Because if somebody describes the pastime of Krishna, he will have all auspiciousness in their lives. People in this world generally, they think if they work better, if they earn more, if they have good family life, then they'll be peaceful and satisfied. But that is not the case. That is not the reality. Only thing which can bring auspiciousness and peace and satisfaction in the life of anybody in this world is if they are connected to Krishna. Otherwise, they cannot get peace and satisfaction in the life. So therefore, Parikshit Maharaj says, Kathasya mahabhaga yathaham akhilatmani Krishne niveshya nisangam manas takshe kalevaram. So he says, Kathayasya, O Mahabhaga, O most fortunate Shukdev Goswami, please continue to speak this Hari Katha. Why? And then he says, why I am requesting you? Because I want to give up my body while listening to these pastimes of Krishna. I want to fix my mind on Krishna. Therefore, Krishne niveshya nisangam. I want to be devoid of material attachment. Manas tyakshe. Mana, I want to engage my mind in the thoughts of Krishna. I want to give up all the material attachments when I am giving my body. So this shows Parikshit Maharaj's efforts to remember Krishna. He's so very eager. He's very, very concerned that I want to remember Krishna at the time of death. If we can just think of this one question and we can meditate on this, then we'll become completely Krishna conscious. I want to remember Krishna at the time of death. That is the question we have to remind ourselves. I want to remember Krishna, how to do it. So therefore, for that, Parikshit Maharaj is telling to Shukdev Goswami, please continue reciting Krishna Katha. And then a very beautiful series of verses which are spoken by Parikshit Maharaj, very famous verses come. Shrunvata Shraddhaya Nityam Grinatascha Swacheshtitam Kalena Nati Dirghena Bhagavan Vishateridi. So Parikshit Maharaj is saying, Shrunvata Shraddhaya, the person who hears with faith, Nityam. Nityam means always. Shrunvata Shraddhaya Nityam and Grinatascha. Grinatas means he applies in his life. Grinatascha. And he shares this message with others. Swacheshtitam. This word swacheshtitam is very important. Swacheshtitam is serious endeavor. So we are discussing in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, NOD also. One of the qualities of bhakti is it is sudurlabha. It is very, very rare. And why it is very rare? Because first is devotees, they are not endeavoring seriously enough. And this is the verse which was quoted by Srila Jiva Goswami there in the commentary. He says that because devotees, they are not seriously endeavoring, that's why Krishna is not entering in their hearts. Kalena na ati dirghena. So Parikshit Maharaj is saying, if somebody is hearing with faith continuously and chanting and applying and preaching this message with intense endeavor, serious endeavor, Kalena na ati dirghena na ati dirgha. Ati dirgh means very long time. Na ati dirgh means not very long time. Very soon, Bhagwan Vishateridi, Krishna will enter in the heart. Krishna will manifest in the heart of a devotee who is continuously hearing and chanting with faith and serious endeavor. So therefore, this swacheshtitam is very, very important. If we are not seriously endeavoring enough, then we will not get the result. This is 8th chapter, 4th verse. Shrinvata shraddhaya nityam grinatascha swacheshtitam. This swacheshtitam, this word comes in the, Narad Muni's pastime also. Narad Muni is a small Narada boy. We discussed in the first canto. Tatranvaham Krishna katha pragayatam anugrahena shrinvan manoharah ta shraddhaya me anupadam vishrinvatah priya shravasyanga mama bhavadruchi. So Narad Muni is saying, Tatra anvaham Krishna katha. These devotees, they were singing Krishna katha. Out of their mercy, they allowed me to be there. Anugrahena shrinvan. Out of their mercy, they allowed me to be there when they were speaking and discussing Krishna katha. Then Narad Muni says, Ta shraddhayame anupadam vishrinvatah. Vishrinvatah means I was really endeavoring very, very hard to hear that message. So unless we are endeavoring hard, Krishna will not enter in our hearts. Krishna will not manifest in our hearts. So therefore, the serious endeavor is a prerequisite to develop Krishna consciousness, to develop taste for Krishna. Swamatu svinnagatraya visrishta kabarastraja drishtva parishramam Krishnam kripaya asit swabandhane. When Krishna, he saw that Mother Yashoda is endeavoring whole day. From afternoon to evening, she was endeavoring, trying to bind Krishna. Her whole body was covered with sweat. Flowers are falling from her hairs. Krishna, when he saw that parishram, the endeavor Mother Yashoda was doing, then Krishna showed mercy, kripaya asit. So therefore, as a practicing sadhaka, we have to really very, very strongly endeavoring, seriously, we have to make serious commitments in our lives. If we are not committed to Krishna consciousness, we will not get it. We may lose it. It is like somebody getting a jewel, a diamond. And if we don't keep it properly, we'll lose that jewel. Prema ratan dhan helaye harainu. So he says, Narottam Das Thakur says, Prema ratan dhan. I had got this prema ratan ka dhan, the jewel of prema. Helaye harainu. But I did not keep it properly, so I forgot it. I lost it. Harainu. Adhane jatana kori dhan tayaginu. I was endeavoring for things of this world. It is like adhan. It is useless. I lost my precious gem because I was endeavoring for the things of this world. So therefore, if we are not endeavoring enough, if we are not desiring enough, then Krishna will not manifest in our heart. And then Parikshit Maharaj says another beautiful verse. Pravishtah karnarandrena swanam bhavasaroruham dhunoti shamalam Krishna salilasya yatha sharat. So Parikshit Maharaj says, please please keep on speaking Krishna Katha, because Krishna Katha purifies the heart. We may not understand or realize how this cleaning is going on. इतने सालों से प्रभु जी, I am chanting, I am reading Bhagavatam, still the same anarthas, still the same thoughts are there. लग रहा है ज्यादा हो गया है, कुछ हो रहा है कि नहीं पता नहीं. लेक्चर तो इतना सुन रहा हूं मैं, वो और लेक्चर में तो इतना सब बोल रहे हैं, सुनेंगे तो मुक्त हो जाएंगे पाप से, will be free from sense gratification, will free from sinful activities. But I don't think so anything is happening. But that is not the case. Lots of things are happening. We don't even realize how much far we have come ahead. So therefore, the example is given that, when the flight is in the air, we may not even realize that the flight is moving, but the flight is moving at a very, very fast speed. Similarly, in the process of bhakti, we may not realize that am I advancing or not? But actually we are advancing. So what we should have? We should have that faith in the words of scriptures, in the words of Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. Yes, by following this process, Pravishtakarna Randrena Swanam Bhava Saroruham, when this sound vibration enters the ears and resides on the flower of the heart, Dhunoti Shamalam Krishna, all the contaminations of lust, anger, greed, pride, envy, illusion, they completely get washed away. Salilasya yatha sharat, just like the autumnal rains clear all the water reservoirs, they clean all the water reservoirs. Similarly, Krishna Katha purifies the mind. So therefore, we should have faith in the descriptions spoken by Parikshit Maharaj, Shukdev Goswami. Yes, I am getting purified for sure, but we have some utopian expectations. आज भरती और कल चक्रवर्ती बनना ही चाहिए. I am chanting this so many years. कितना पूरा 10 साल हो गया. अरे, we have not chanted since 10 million lifetimes. What this 10 years of chanting will do? So therefore, but still we should understand that this chanting is doing lots of cleaning of our heart. So we should just keep on going, putting faith that Krishna at the end, as somebody was saying, that with our whole lifetime endeavor of bhakti, if it is required to get 100% to pass, we will not even get 1%. But our hope is, Krishna is there, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is there, they'll come and they'll add 99% and they'll take us back to our day. That is our hope. But for that, we have to Vishrinvataha, Swacheshtitam. We have to endeavor seriously, endeavor attentively. Yes, one time Srila Prabhupada, he was giving a class and he was saying, if you are 100% Krishna conscious, you will go back to God at the end of this life. Everybody became morose. Apna to hope hi nahi hai. 100% kidhar. Abhi to shuru bhi nahi hua apna gaadi. So Prabhupada saw the faces of the devotees. He said, okay, 90%. So then he started bargaining. 90%. If you are 90% Krishna conscious, you will go back home. Still nobody was having any smile on their face. Prabhupada said, okay, 80%. Still, and then Prabhupada got up and he was climbing down the Vyasasana. And still he was seeing that devotees were not looking so happy. So as he was going by, he said, okay, 75% and no less. So that was Prabhupada. He was bargaining. Okay, itna to karo. So therefore, we have to put our best endeavor to please Krishna. And then Krishna will for sure show mercy. That is the hope we should have. Through all the pastimes of Bhagavatam, we see that Krishna is there to protect his devotees. Ashya Rakshibe Krishna iti Vishwasa Palan. So therefore, Parikshit Maharaj says, a devotee never leaves the Lord's lotus feet. Dhautatma Purusha Krishna Pada Moolam na munchati Mukta Sarva Pariklesha Pantha Swasharanam Yatha. So what is a symptom of one who has become purified? Dhautatma. Dhautatma means a purified soul. What are his activities? Krishna Pad Moolam na munchati. He never leaves the lotus feet of Krishna. Muktaha sarva pariklesha panta swashranam yatha. And when a devotee, he comes in the shelter of Krishna, he becomes peaceful. Just like after traveling for a long distance, when a traveler comes back to his home, he feels lots of satisfaction, shelter. So at present, we may have many other shelters in our life. When we get distressed, some people in the outside world, people, their shelter are, they'll take shelter of sense gratification, they'll take shelter of drugs, liquor, all these abominable things. But for Krishna, for devotee, the shelter is Krishna. So we have to make that transformation from, some people have their shelter as cricket, some people, they have shelter as food. Tension aa raha hai, khao, खा के सो जाओ, so that is their shelter. Tension nahi lo, tension mat lo. For a devotee, his shelter is Krishna. So that is the proof of one who is cleansed of all material desires. He never gives up the service of devotees. And then after this, from 7th verse onwards till 23rd verse of this 8th chapter, Parikshit Maharaj asks a series of questions. And the answer to these questions, they form the entire Bhagavatam. So Parikshit Maharaj asks, "O Shukadeva Goswami, please tell me, how did Jiva, who is spiritual, Jiva is spiritual, how can he attain a body which is material? ये combination कैसे हो गया? Spiritual material तो कभी भी combine नहीं होते. How does this happen?" Then he says, second question is, both the living entities and the Lord, they assume bodies. So what's the difference between them? Lord also incarnates, and Jiva, they also change their bodies. What is the difference? So he's asking that, is Supreme Lord just a gigantic living entity, or is there some other difference also? Third question he asks. See, Brahma appeared from the navel of the Lord, okay? So if Brahma is material being, then the Lord should also be material, because if the cat give birth to a kitten, so kitten is same as cat. So if Brahma is material, so is it that Supreme Lord is also having a material body? That was the third question. The fourth question is, where does the master of Maya, that is Karano Dakshay Vishnu, lie? Ye sote kahan pe hain? Where does he lie? So actually Parikshit Maharaj is asking that, Lord also sleeps. So what is the difference between sleeping of the Lord and our sleeping? Hum log bhi aisa, we also sleep. So, and Karano Dakshay Vishnu is also sleeping. So is there some difference? So then fifth question he asks, I have heard about the planets and their governors, their imagination. Sukadeva Goswami described in first chapter of the second canto and the fifth chapter again, this Virata Rupa. So Parikshit Maharaj says, please explain a little more about that. Please explain about Virata Rupa in more detail. So these 5 questions are about Lord and the Jiva. Then he asks question about Kala and Karma. So he asks, please explain about the Kalpa. Kalpa means the day of Brahma. Please explain me the time duration between, so this is going to be really technical chapters, all the 8th, 9th and 10th, they are technical chapters. So please bear with it. It may not be so pleasing because it is all technical details, but these are the questions which are asked by Parikshit Maharaj in the last days of his life, So therefore, if Parikshit Maharaj is putting such endeavor to know about these, that means it should have lots of importance, because the answers to these questions, they make our conviction very, very strong. They make us philosophically convinced about the process. So therefore, Parikshit Maharaj asks about the Kala. Please explain me about the time, the divisions of the time, Kalpa. Please explain how the time is perceived in various planetary systems. This will be explained in 3rd canto and the 5th canto as well. And then he asks, please explain about the lifespan of humans and the demigods. Please explain about the divisions of time. That will be explained in the 3rd chapter, 3rd canto again. Then he asks, please tell me how various karmic activities they give various bodies. Please explain me that also. So he asked about Kala. Now he's asking about Karma. And this question will be answered in the 3rd canto, 5th canto, 7th canto, 4th canto, all these cantos, at various places. This question will be answered. And then he asks about this Prakriti, this whole universe. He says, please explain me the creation of this entire universe. And that will be described in great detail in the 5th canto. That is the whole Vedic cosmology he's asking. Then he asks, please tell me about the dimensions of the universe. How big is this universe? Please tell me. Then he asks that please tell me about the characteristics and the activities of the devotees of the Lord. That will be described in the 7th canto. Please, then he says, please explain me about the characteristics of Varnashram. Again, it will be described in the 7th canto. Then he says, please explain me about the yugas, Yug Dharma, and the activities of Yuga Avatar. So please tell me all these things. That will be described in the 11th canto and the 12th canto. So then he describes about, he asks about Sadharana Bhakti. And then he asks about Apad Dharma, emergency duties, and some specific duties that will be again described in the 7th canto. Then he asks about Purushavatas, then Yoga Mishra Bhaktas, and Sankhya Yogis. That will be described in the 11th canto, 4th canto, 3rd canto, all these things, it will be described there. Then he asks about the opulence, destination, and the destruction of the subtle body of the yogis and devotees. So basically he's asking, how do the devotees and how do yogis, they achieve liberation? So Shukdev Goswami will explain this by quoting the story of Kardam Muni and Devahuti, and then he'll explain it by telling the story of Dhruva. Then he will describe the story of Prachetas. He'll describe the story of Prithu Maharaj. So then Shukdev Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj asks about the conclusion of the Vedas and Itihasas and Puranas. And then he says, please tell me how the living entities will be delivered from the samsara. And there are few more questions he asks. And then, after asking all these series of questions, he is telling to Shukdev Goswami, oh Shukdev Goswami, please answer all that I have inquired. And that which I have not inquired. जो पूछा है वो तो बताइए, जो नहीं पूछा है वो भी बताइए. So Parikshit Maharaj does not want to leave any scope of hearing Krishna Katha. So he says, please tell me, because I am surrendered soul unto you. I have surrendered to you. So please explain me, please answer my all the queries. So then Shukdev Goswami describes the very, very special qualifications of Parikshit Maharaj describes very special qualifications of Shukdev Goswami. He says that, oh Shukdev Goswami, among all the sages, why am I asking you only? Because you are an authority. And why you are an authority? Because you are coming in parampara. So therefore the parampara is very, very important. From where we are getting our knowledge from, that is very, very important to understand. Otherwise in India, every gully, somebody says, Maharaj, hum bhi Brahman hai. When we go into taxi wala always say, Maharaj, hum bhi Brahman hai. Hamare paas bhi Janeu hai. So just by wearing a Brahman thread, nobody becomes a Brahmana. Just by speaking some spiritual things, nobody becomes a bona fide authority. He should come in parampara. So therefore, Parikshit Maharaj says, don't think that I am fatigued because of hunger and thirst. This is now just started, Krishna Katha has just started. Shukdev Goswami has just come. So in the beginning, Parikshit Maharaj is ensuring Shukdev Goswami, don't think I am fatigued due to hunger and thirst. Why? Because you are speaking Krishna Katha so nicely. It is like a nectar coming from your mouth. And by this nectar, I am completely satisfied. This is the first day one, day one of this Parikshit Maharaj's curse period. Then the 10th canto, again, in the beginning of the 10th canto, that must be around, 4th day or 5th day. There also Parikshit Maharaj says, Naeshati duksha shunmam tyaktodam apibadate pibantam tvanmukham bhoja chutam harikathamritam. He says there also, O Shukdev Goswami, please don't think I am fatigued because of hunger and thirst. Because I am drinking pibantam tvanmukham bhoja, I am drinking from your lotus mouth Hari Katha Amrit. I am drinking this nectar of Hari Katha from your mouth. So therefore, I am not feeling any fatigue. I am not feeling any hunger, thirst. So please speak Krishna Katha. So this is very interesting to note. Parikshit Maharaj, who could not tolerate this hunger and thirst for some time, when he was in the forest. And now Parikshit Maharaj is tolerating this hunger and thirst for 7 days. So this shows that the hunger and thirst which Parikshit Maharaj experienced in the forest, that was all, arrangement of Krishna so that Bhagavatam may manifest. So therefore, Parikshit Maharaj, when he asks so many questions, then Shukdev Goswami becomes very, very pleased and he begins to reply to the inquiries of Parikshit Maharaj by saying that, the science of personality of Godhead in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam was first spoken by Lord himself to Brahma when he was born, So now Brahma is 51 years old. So 51st year is going on. So Shukdev Goswami says that this knowledge which you have asked me, this science of personality of Godhead in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken by Lord himself to Brahmaji in the beginning of the day life of Brahma. And therefore he says that Bhagavatam is the supplementary Vedic scripture, and therefore I'll describe Bhagavatam to you. So there ends the 8th chapter, and then in the 9th chapter starts where Parikshit Maharaj has asked so many questions. So being pleased with the questions of Parikshit Maharaj, being pleased with the eagerness of Parikshit Maharaj, Shukdev Goswami speaks Bhagavatam, which was spoken by Supreme Lord to Brahmaji. So in the first 3 verses of this 9th chapter, Shukdev Goswami answers the first question of Parikshit Maharaj. What was the first question of Parikshit Maharaj? Parikshit Maharaj had asked, how did the Jiva, who is spiritual, attain a material body? How does this combination happen? So Shukdev Goswami is saying, actually this combination never happens. Atmamayam rite rajan parasyanu bhavatmanah ghate na ghate tartha sambandha swapna drashtur ivanjasa. So he says that the relationship between the jiva and the body, it is unreal. Rite, it is unreal. O Rajan, O Parikshit Maharaj, this relationship between the body and the jiva, it is unreal. And only due to Atma Mayam, it is only because of the Maya Shakti of the Lord that living entity, the jiva, starts identifying with the body. It is as if Swapna Drashtur Ivanjasa. It is like a dreamer seeing his dream body. In the dream, everybody dreams every day, and then dream, so many things are created, and he may see that, oh, he's out of the body, he may see himself. So all this is going on in the dream. But similarly, in this world also, a jiva, although he is in the body, but there is no relationship between the jiva and the body. It is just a dream condition. It is all misconception, and that will be described by Shukdev Goswami in the next verse. That why this combination happens, why a living entity starts identifying with the body, because afflicted by the Maya Devi of Maya Shakti of the Lord, jiva thinks in terms of aham and mameti, me and mine. So therefore, because of this me and mine conception, so many different forms are taken by the jiva in different species of life. So therefore, Prabhupada writes that the two misconceptions of life, namely I and mine, they are manifested in two classes of men. Mine conception comes in the lower class of men, lower state. I conception comes in the higher state of men. That is more dangerous, That is, I am the Lord, I am the Supreme. That is the greater dangerous misconception than mine misconception. So therefore, Shukdev Goswami is saying when Jiva starts misunderstanding, misidentifying with the things of this world, because he gets covered by the material energy. So in this world also, when we are doing so many activities of this world, throughout the day we may be doing n number of activities just to maintain the body, children, wife, family. And the nature of this world is, the more we enter into this world, the more it covers us with ignorance. So therefore, as a devotee, what we have to do, in the beginning of the day, we have to immunize ourselves. Just like now in the corona times, whoever is going out, all the doctors especially, they have to wear all the personal protective equipment so that they don't get affected by this disease. Similarly, when a devotee is going out to work, to be with the outside world, he has to first immunize himself in the beginning of the day by attentive chanting of the names of the Lord. If we are not attentively chanting, if we are not trying our best, in one lecture, His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj was saying, Krishna is not so much concerned by our, focus on the holy name. He is not so much concerned whether we are able to focus on the holy name or not. Krishna is not so much concerned about that. Krishna is concerned about something different. Krishna is concerned whether we are endeavoring to focus or not. If we are not endeavoring to focus, then Krishna will not be pleased. And if we are endeavoring to focus on the holy names of the Lord, that pleases Krishna the most. So therefore, we should not be so much concerned about chanting attentive rounds. I am chanting attentively. That is not the goal. Are we struggling enough to chant attentively? That is the main thing. We have to endeavor to chant. And even if we are not able to focus, but we have to endeavor to the best of our capacity. That endeavor pleases Krishna. So therefore, the misconceptions of this world, me and mine, can be dispelled only by serious chanting of the names, endeavoring to chant the names properly. So therefore, in the third verse, Shukdev Goswami says that how to get out of this misconception. He says one can get out of this misconception only by the practice of bhakti. Bhakti is the only way. We know all the answers, From the day one of Krishna consciousness, we are hearing the same thing. Sab answer malum hai humko. We are not hearing anything new. But the problem is, as a dull, conditioned mind, we have to remind ourselves again and again. Bhakti is the only way. And Chakravarti Thakur writes in the purport that Jiva endures countless births. Now, we have taken unlimited birth. And we have been tortured by Maya Devi, thoroughly thrashed by Maya Devi in such royal ways. But still, Maya Devi is such a wonderful, person. She will never make one hopelessly frustrated. She keeps one hopefully frustrated. That is the whole, activity of Maya Devi. That is the whole job profile of Maya Devi. But by being in touch with the devotional service, by being in touch with devotees, one can actually get free from this misconception. And therefore, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that this attainment of bhakti is unexpected. Because in order to get bhakti, we have to stop this process of material enjoyment, which is not expected from the jiva, because but the very reason for the jiva to be in this world is he wanted to enjoy. So if the jiva leaves this propensity of enjoyment and starts rendering bhakti, that is unexpected out of him. As Bhagavatam first canto we discussed, yaya sammohito jivo trigunam trigunatmakam paropi manute nartham tatkritam chapi bhadyate. Vyasadeva, he was seeing that living entities in this world, they are really getting thoroughly thrashed by three modes of material nature. And therefore, to show mercy to these living entities, to all of us, he manifested this Bhagavatam. Anarthopashamam shaksad bhakti yogam adokshaje lokasya janato viddam chakre satvada samhitam. To show mercy for people in general, Vyasadeva, he wrote Bhagavatam. And that's how Shukdev Goswami is saying here, when living entities, they come in touch with bhakti, they can become free from the misconceptions of me and mine. As Kaviraj Goswami describes in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Nitya Baddha Krishna hoite Nitya Bahirmukh Nitya Samsara Bhunje Narakadi Dukh. Nitya Baddha Krishna hoite, a living entity, because he has eternally turned his face away from Krishna. Krishna Bahirmukh. And the result is Nitya Samsara Bhunje Narak Adi Dukh. He is constantly suffering the hellish conditions in this world. Sei doshe maya pishachi danda kore tare adhyatmika di tapatra etare jari mare. Living entity, because they want to enjoy this world, that is their fault. Because of that fault, Maya Pishachi, the witch of Maya, thoroughly thrashes the living entity, danda kore tare. And she punishes the living entities in three ways: adhibhautika, atmika, and adhidaivika. Kam krodher dasa hoya tarala thi khai bhramite bhramite yadi sadhu vaidya pai. And living entity, he is thoroughly thrashed by Kam and Krodha, and he keeps getting kicks of Maya. But somehow, Bhramite Bhramite Yadi Sadhu Vaidyapai. But if he gets the mercy of devotee physician, so that's what Kaviraj Goswami says. If he gets a devotee physician, what the devotee physician will give? He'll give mantra. Just like, there are people who are expert in this black magic. If somebody is haunted by the witch and the ghost, they'll chant some mantras and the ghosts, witches, go away. So the devotee also gives the mantra. Tara upadesha mantre pishachi palay Krishna bhakti paye tabe Krishna nikate aaye. By the mantra given by devotee, pishachi palay, the witch of Maya will go away. That is what Shukdev Goswami is saying. That this material existence, the misconception will be destroyed and dispelled when one comes in touch with devotee of the Lord. So that is about the question of Parikshit Maharaj, how living entity starts identifying with the body. Next question was about the difference between the body of the jiva and the body of the Lord. So Shukdev Goswami, to give answer to this question, from now onwards, he describes the conversation which happened between Brahma and Lord. So the conversation happened between Brahma and the Lord also. So Shukdev Goswami says that Supreme Lord is eternal and he is transcendental. And Supreme Lord showed that form to Brahma in the beginning of the creation. And Brahma is the example of somebody who became free from the misconception by the practice of Bhakti Yoga. So then Shukdev Goswami describes the story that Brahmaji one time, when he took birth from the lotus flower which was manifested from the navel of Lord Garbhodaksha Vishnu. So as he was seated on the lotus, he was completely bewildered. Kidhar se aaye main? What I am supposed to do? So he went down in the stem of the lotus to find the source of the stem. But he went down and down, but still he could not find the end of this stem. So he came back and then he was sitting on the lotus. and he was not able to understand what to do, how to create this universe, because he understood that I have to create this universe, but I don't know how to do it. So that time he heard the word tapa, tapa. 2 times he heard tapa. He was not able to understand from where this voice is coming. So then he decided to follow the instruction. So he underwent austerities for 1,000 celestial years by concentrating his mind and controlling his senses. And then after Brahmaji, for 1,000 years he did tapasya, Supreme Lord became pleased. And Supreme Lord, he gave darshan of Vaikuntha to our Brahma. So he saw that Brahma, the supreme planet, Brahmaji saw the supreme planet. That planet was adored by self-realized people. And that planet is free from all the dualities of the world. There is no suffering, there is no confusion, there is no influence of the modes there. Everybody is happy. That place is worshipped by the Devatas and Gandharvas and Asuras and everybody. And then Brahmaji sees the inhabitants of Vaikuntha. They were very, very beautiful. They had bluish complexion. They had a very beautiful lotus-like eyes. They were wearing beautiful ornaments. They were having 4 hands. They were youthful, effulgent. They had earrings. They had crowns. They had garlands. And then he saw Brahmaji seeing all this, in his vision. He's seeing that, in the inhabitants in the Vaikuntha, every inhabitant has a separate airplane, So the scopes are very good, There are good retirement benefits after we get retired from this material world. When we go to the spiritual world, every living entity in the spiritual world has a separate plane. Chartered flights सबके लिए available है, We don't have to get thrashed and smashed in local train there. So everybody gets a separate plane, and these planes are decked with all the jewels and they are shining. And similar description comes in the 3rd canto also. Vayamanika salalana charitani shashwat gayanti yatra shamalam shapanani bharatu antarjalenu vikasan madhumadhavinam gandhena khandita dhiya apyanilam shipantah. So there it is described, Vayamanika, the residents of Vaikuntha, they have separate planes and they are not alone. Salalana, with their wives. There are no brahmacharis in the spiritual world, all married people. So, and what they are doing, but even though the women of the Vaikuntha, they are supremely beautiful, but there is no desire of lust. There is no personal sense gratification desire in the minds of Vaikuntha-vasis. They are just concerned with one thing, to serve Krishna. So then Brahmaji is saying all these Vaikuntha Viman, and then he sees Mother Lakshmi, what she is doing. Mother Lakshmi is engaged in serving the lotus feet of the Lord. And as she is serving the lotus feet, he is massaging the lotus feet. She is singing the glories of the Lord. In Brajalila also we see all the gopis, what they would do, whatever activities Krishna would perform, they would make a poem out of it, and they would keep on singing the glories of Krishna, small Krishna. So that is how we have to become Krishna conscious. Somehow or other we have to engage our mind in remembrance of Krishna. That is why we have to keep on hearing the pastimes of the Lord, keep on singing the glories of the Lord by memorizing bhajans and the shlokas and discussing the philosophy, speaking this philosophy. So that's what Mother Lakshmi is also doing. She is chanting the glories of the Lord. And then he saw that Supreme Lord also. So Brahmaji, just like it is getting zoomed in, we are on Zoom. So Brahmaji is, just like, focusing. The camera is getting focused more and more and more. So first he saw the Vaikuntha. That Vaikuntha is free from all the dualities. It is supreme planet. And then he focused more. He saw the inhabitants of Vaikuntha. They were very beautiful, effulgent, and 4 hands. Then he zoomed in more. He saw Lakshmi, Mother Lakshmi. And then Mother Lakshmi is massaging the feet of the Lord. And then now Brahmaji is seeing the Supreme Lord Narayan, Vishnu. Dadarsha tatrakhila sattvatam pati. He saw the sattvatam pati. He saw the Supreme Lord, who is the Lord of devotees, who is Shriyapati, who is the Lord of Mother Lakshmi, who is Yagyapati, who is the Lord of all the sacrifices, and who is Jagatpati. Dadarsha tatra akhila sattvatam pati, Shriyapati, Yagyapati, Jagatpati. So he's seeing the Supreme Lord. That Supreme Lord was not alone. He was served by lots of devotees, Nanda, Sunanda, Prabala, Arahana. And then he's zooming in more, Now he's seeing the beauty of the Lord. So he's saying the beauty of the Lord is so very charming. The Supreme Lord satisfies his devotees. The sight of the Lord is so very intoxicating, so very attractive. He has a very beautiful smiling face. He's wearing yellow garments, beautiful shark-shaped earrings. He has a shining crown, 4 hands, and he has a Shrivats on his chest. And now he's again, zooming out. अच्छा और भी है कुछ वहां पे, there are some more energies who are standing all around Lord. Who are they? So Shukdev Goswami says, the Supreme Lord is surrounded by energies of 4, 16, 5 and 6. What are these 4, 16, 5 and 6? So Brahmaji is seeing that Supreme Lord is surrounded by principles of Prakriti, Purusha, Mahat Tattva and ego. These are present in the spiritual world. That is true ego. Then he saw the 16. What are the 16? The 5 elements, the 10 senses and the mind. The 5 Gyanendriyas, 5 Karmendriyas and the mind. And then he saw the 5. What are the 5? The 5 elements. And the 6. What are the 6? The 6 Ashta Siddhis. So as Brahmaji is seeing all this, he goes into ecstasy. He becomes overwhelmed with joy and happiness, and he starts, crying tears of ecstasy. He bows down in front of the Lord. And then now, actually, Lord has transported him to the spiritual world. So Lord now becomes very pleased with Brahmaji. He comes and shakes hand with Brahma. So that is amazing thing which is described in Bhagavatam. Lord comes and shakes hand with Brahma. And then Supreme Lord starts speaking. So he says, "Oh Brahma, I am very pleased by your severe austerities. Please ask a benediction. Please ask." Then he says, "But although I have already given you a benediction, what is I have given you a greatest benediction." What is the greatest benediction? Having my darshan is the greatest benediction. Even without asking, I have given you the greatest benediction. He says, Supreme Lord is saying, darshan of me and darshan of my abode is itself the greatest perfection, greatest benefit one can have in their life. This was possible only because of your tapasya. You have done so much of tapasya. And he says, it was I, I was that person who spoke tapa, tapa. Now Supreme Lord is revealing, मैं नहीं बोला था वो तप करने के लिए. When you are perplexed, क्या करूं, क्या नहीं करूं, I only had spoken those words, tapa. And I am very pleased by your penance and sacrifice, because penance, austerity is my heart and soul. In fact, Lord says that actually penance and I are non-different. That is the amazing thing Lord Vishnu is saying. I am penance. And he says, I create, maintain and destroy this entire universe only by my penance. So therefore, as devotees, we should also be ready to do all the tapasya. What is our tapasya? We don't have to go to forest and do all the Ashtanga yoga. Our tapasya is simple. Jada kuch nahi karna hai. Chanting and hearing, that is sufficient of the tapasya for all of us. To continue to do these 2 things, hearing and chanting, is the biggest tapasya we can do in Kali Yuga. That's all. One time, there was one devotee with Prabhupada in Vrindavan, and Prabhupada was on a morning walk. And this devotee, he was, having some conceptions about austerity. So he was not wearing sleepers, and he was walking with Prabhupada. So Prabhupada looked at him and he said, "Why are you not wearing sleepers?" So devotee said, Prabhupada, Vrindavan, abode of Krishna. Krishna was walking without slippers. So that's why I'm also doing some tapasya. Prabhupada said, there is already enough tapasya in life, don't add new one, So our tapasya is just to chant and hear attentive rounds, chant attentive rounds, hear Bhagavatam every day regularly, attentively. That is enough tapasya for us. So therefore Brahmaji speaks. Oh my Lord, being the super soul, you know everyone's desire and you know all the endeavors of everyone. So please, I have 3 questions and I have 1 request. So Brahmaji asks 3 questions. He says, oh my Lord, please tell me about your material and spiritual forms. This was the same question which was asked by Parikshit Maharaj. So what Shukdev Goswami is doing? He is answering the questions of Parikshit by citing a conversation between Lord and Brahma. Because Brahmaji also asked the same question. So first question he's asking is, please tell me about your material and spiritual form. Second, how the different energies of the Lord are working. Third, how does the Lord carry out his pastimes in relationship to his material and spiritual energies? And then he makes 1 request. He says, oh my Lord, you have given me this service of creation. It's a huge service. You have given me the guidance also. Everything you have given me. But give me one more thing. Please give me the guidance to carry out this service without pride and bondage. He says, oh my Lord, you have shaken hands with me just as a friend does with a friend, as if I am equal to you. So as I am doing this activity of creation, I should not become proud. I should not become foolish to think that I am equal to you. Please give me that understanding. There are 2 dangers in the path of a spiritualist. If one becomes successful, then he becomes proud. And if he neglects the details, he neglects the principles, it leads to bondage. So Brahmaji is saying, please give me your guidance to carry out this service without pride and without bondage. If I'll become successful, I should not become proud. And because I'm dealing with material energy, I don't want to get entangled. Please protect me from this bondage. So now in response to this, Supreme Lord speaks this famous Chatushloki Bhagavatam. In that Chatushloki Bhagavatam, Supreme Lord will define Sambandha, Abhideya and Prayojan, which we saw in Bhagavad Gita also. Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita comes in the 10th chapter, and then Trishloki Bhagavad Gita comes in the 15th chapter. There also we saw it in terms of Sambandha, Abhideya and Prayojan. So now also Supreme Lord will describe Chatushloki Bhagavatam in terms of Sambandha, Abhideya and Prayojan. So now Supreme Lord says, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, Jnanam Param Guhyam Me Yad Vijnana Samanvitam Sarahasyam Tadangam Cha Grihana Gaditam Maya. So Supreme Lord says, O Brahmaji, O Brahma, O my dear son, I'll speak about 4 things. I'll speak about Jnana, that is the most secret knowledge about myself, my form. Second, I'll give you Vijnana. I'll give you the realization of that form. This is the Sambandha Gyan. Gyan and Vijnana. Knowledge of my form and the realization of that form. That is the Sambandha Gyan. Then he says, I'll describe you Sarahasyam. I'll describe you the ultimate goal of this Sambandha Gyan. That is Prema Bhakti. That is what Chakravarti Thakur says. I'll describe you Prema Bhakti also. That is Prayojan. And then Tadangam. Tadangam means I'll describe you about Sadhana Bhakti. That is the Abhideya. So please you take it very carefully. Grihana Gaditam Maya. So now, and also then he says, also I'll tell you about the details of my form, the intentions, the qualities and the pastimes of my form. So that is what Supreme Lord is promising to Brahma. I'll tell you knowledge, realized knowledge. I'll tell you about sadhana bhakti. I'll tell you about prema bhakti. I'll tell you about details of my form, my pastimes, my qualities. I'll tell you everything. And now Brahmaji, Supreme Lord describes this Chatu Shloki Bhagavatam. So the 33rd to 36 verses, 34, 35, 36 and 37, sorry. These 4 verses, they are the Chatu Shloki Bhagavatam. 2, 9, 33 to 37. So the 33rd verse, Krishna is saying, Aham eva sameva agre nanyad yat sadasat param paschadaham yadetaccha yo avishishayet swasmi aham. So in this verse, Krishna is, Supreme Lord Vishnu is describing his material and spiritual form. So he is saying, Aham eva sam eva agre. So Chakravarti Thakur, they have, the Acharyas, they have such wonderful realizations. So he's saying, touching his finger to the chest, the Lord is saying, Aham, touching his finger to the chest. So Chakravarti Thakur writes this. So Supreme Lord is touching his finger to the forefinger, to the chest, and he's saying, Aham eva sam eva agre. I alone existed before the creation as the Lord of the spiritual world. Before this material world was created, I was the one who was existing. After creation of this material universe, I am actually expanding as this material universe. We saw in detail in the 5th chapters and the 6th chapters how Lord creates Dravya, Kala, Prakriti, Swabhav and Karma and Jiva. And then he enters, he is shelter of everything. So Supreme Lord is saying, I was existing in the beginning. After the creation was done, I was expanding as the material universe. I expand as the super soul. And I expand as various avatars. And then even after annihilation of all the material universe, I exist. I continue to exist. So therefore, Supreme Lord is saying that my form is spiritual. And whenever I expand in the material form, that is also me. So in short, I am existing always. Aham eva sam eva agre. In the beginning I was there. In the middle I am there. In the future everything will be destroyed. Still I will remain. So avashishyet, so asmi aham. So even if all the creation gets destroyed, I remain. So that is 33rd verse. That is talking about Sambandha Gyan. And then in 34th verse, he again says, Krishna is saying, Supreme Lord is saying, Rite artham yat pratiyeta na pratiyeta chatmani tad vidyadatmano mayam yatha bhaso yatha tamaha. So he says, Rite artham yat pratiyeta. Rite artham means whatever appears to be of value, if it is without relation to me, if it is not in relation to me, it is illusory. Anything which is not in relation to me, it has no reality, it is all illusory, it is my illusory potency. So therefore, Chakravarti Thakur writes that Supreme Lord is talking about his 2 energies. Because the question was, please tell me about your material and spiritual energies. So now Supreme Lord is talking about his Yogamaya potency and Mahamaya potency. So Chakravarti Thakur writes that this Maya Devi, this material energy, acts sometimes favorably, sometimes unfavorably. So when Maya Devi acts favorably, she is called as Yogamaya. When she acts unfavorably, she is called as Mahamaya. So therefore, because living entities in the world, they are misidentifying with this world, they are misidentifying with this body. Therefore, they come under the control of Mahamaya and they are thoroughly troubled. But when by the process of bhakti, they get liberated, so they come under the control of Yogamaya. So then after describing this, the next verse, the 3rd Chatushloki, Supreme Lord is talking about his relationship, his activities in relation to his energies. So he says, Yatha mahanti bhutani bhuteshu chavacheshvanu pravishtanya pravishtani tatha teshu nateshvaham. So he says, Yatha mahanti bhutani. Just as the universal elements, they enter into the cosmos and at the same time they do not enter. Similarly, I also enter this material world, but I remain detached. And I am there in the spiritual world also. There I am attached to devotees. In the material world, I am not attached to this material world. So therefore, Supreme Lord is saying, this is the prema bhakti. The living entities, when they start practicing devotional service and they get liberated, they go to the spiritual world. They come under the control of Yoga Maya. And there, I am completely attached to the devotees of the Lord. But in the material world, because living entities, they want to enjoy, so they become covered by the illusory potency. They come under the control of Mahamaya. And then, in the last verse of the Chatushloki, Shukdev Goswami is talking, the Supreme Lord is talking about the sadhana bhakti. So he says, Etavad eva jigyasyam tattva jigyasunatmanah anvaya vyatirekabhyam yatsyat sarvatra sarvada. So he says that if one is searching after the absolute truth, he must perform this sadhana bhakti. Jigyasyam. One must certainly search for tattva jigyasa. Search for the supreme absolute truth, either by the direct means or the indirect means. That is the process to attain the Supreme Lord. So that is the process of bhakti. So this process of bhakti removes all the bondage, lethargy, and the pride. So that is what Supreme Lord speaks, this Chatushloki Bhagavatam. And then Shukdev Goswami says after speaking that Supreme Lord, after telling all this Chatushloki Bhagavatam to Brahmaji, he disappears. And then Brahmaji, he begins to create the universe from the elements which are already created by the Lord. So then Shukdev Goswami says that, this Chatushloki, it was further expanded in Parampara. So Brahmaji, he taught this to Narada. Narad Muni, he taught it to Vyasadeva. We discussed about this in the first canto, 5th chapter. Narad Muni taught these instructions to Vyasadeva, and then Vyasadeva expanded further. And now, the last verse of this 9th chapter, Shukdev Goswami says, I will explain how the universe become manifested from the universal form, and I'll also answer all the other questions which you have asked me. So now, this is 8, now it is 8:10. So we'll complete this canto. This is the last chapter. So it will take 15 minutes more. So now this 10th chapter of this Bhagavatam is entitled as Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. So in this, Shukdev Goswami, in the first 2 verses, he describes the 10 topics of Bhagavatam. So these 10 topics, they form the entire Bhagavatam. Atra sarga visargascha sthanam poshanam utayah manvantaresha anukatha nirodho muktirashrayah dashamasya viuddartham namanamiha lakshanam varnayanti mahatmana shrutena arthena cha anjasa. So these are the 10 topics of any Mahapuran. So because Bhagavatam is Mahapuran. So any Mahapuran should have these 10 topics. So what is Sarga? Sarga is creation by the Lord. Then Visarga means the secondary creation by Brahma, Manu and all the Prajapatis. Then what is Sthana? Sthana is the geography of the universe, which will be described in detail in the 5th chapter. So this Sarga will be described in detail in the 3rd canto. Visarga will be described in the 4th canto. Sthanam, that is geography of the universe, will be described in the 5th canto. And how Supreme Lord maintains, that is Poshana, how Supreme Lord maintains his devotees and protects his devotees, that will be described in the 6th canto by citing the story of Ajamil, Chitraketu and Vritrasur. So these things come in the 6th canto. And then Uti means auspicious and inauspicious inclinations. That will be described in the 7th canto by citing the story of Prahlad and Hiranyakashipu. Prahlad indicates the auspicious inclination. Hiranyakashipu indicates inauspicious inclination. Then Manvantara. Manvantara means the various dynasties of the Manus and the incarnations of those Manvantaras. They'll be described in the 7th canto. Then Ishanu Katha means topics related to the Lord's devotees. That will be described in the 9th canto. All the various kings will be described. Then Nirodha is annihilation. That will be described in 12th. Mukti is liberation. That will be described in the 11th canto by citing this Uddhava Gita. And then Ashraya. Ashraya means the shelter. That is described in the 10th canto. So Bhagavatam says, Shukdev Goswami says that this 10th canto, Dashamasya Vishuddhartham, to show the predominant transcendental nature of this 10th canto, all the other 9 cantos are described. And these cantos, they are described by Shruta, Artha and Anjasa, by citing some Vedic scriptures, by direct explanation, and sometimes by summary explanations. So these are the 10 topics of Bhagavatam which are described, and these are described in first 9 verses here. And then after this, Shukdev Goswami starts the answer to Parikshit Maharaj's question in the 8th chapter, where he has asked about the universal form. He has asked about the activities of Purushavataras. So he says that Mahavishnu, he enters each of these universe, and after separating the universes, he enters as Garbhodaksha Vishnu, and then he creates the water from his own sweat. That is called Nara. Nar is the sweat of the Supreme Lord Narayan, and that's why this word Nara comes from So this word Narayan comes from Nara. So Nara means water, and Narayan means that person who is lying on this water. So therefore, Lord creates Dravya, Kala, Karma, Swabhav and Jiva. The same things which he has explained earlier, he explains again. So then he describes that how Supreme Lord manifests these Jivas, and then this Jiva, they divide into 3 potencies. And these potencies are called Adhidaiva, Adhibhuta and Adhi-Atma. And then there are so many descriptions which are described by Shukdev Goswami. And then he describes the whole process of creation again, which we discussed in the 6th chapter. That from the Lord's organs, various elements are created. So now Shukdev Goswami is saying that when Lord desired to do something, a particular organ is created. Just like, for example, when the Lord desired to eat, so the mouth is created, and that is a gross sense organ. And from that mouth, the subtle sense organ developed, and then sense devatas they develop, and then the sense objects and the sense elements they develop, the gross elements they develop. So all these things are described in this whole chapter from 17 to 30 verses. And then he explains about the secondary creation. So this was the primary creation. So now secondary creation, Supreme Lord says that, Shukdev Goswami says that Lord, he came in the form of Brahma, and he created the bodies of the Jivas. And all the various species are created, that Prajapatis, Manu, then Devatas, then humans, the animals, the reptiles, and so on. It is all based on their karma. And because these species, they come under the control of the different modes. So based on the particular mode of a person, he goes into a particular type of species. We have discussed this in Bhagavad Gita in great detail. Urdhvam gacchanti sattvastha madhye tishtanti rajasa jaghanya guna vrittistha adho gacchanti tamasaha. People who in the mode of goodness, they go to higher species. In the mode of passion, they stay in the middle. In the mode of ignorance, they go in the lower species. So that is all is described in Visarga. And then Shukdev Goswami says that Supreme Lord himself maintains all the creation in the form of Vishnu, and then he destroys in the form of Lord Shiva. So then he says, most people in this world, they see the Supreme Lord as a creator in the form of Purushavatara. But the devotees, they are not so much attached to Purushavataras. They are interested in Leela-avataras. They are interested in the spiritual pastimes of the Lord. And then he says, actually the Lord, he does not directly take part in the creation, maintenance and destruction. He does all this through his energies. And then he says that, there are two things, Sarga and Visarga. So Sarg means the primary creation by the Lord, and Visarg means the secondary creation which is done by Brahmaji. So primary creation, the Sarga, happens at the beginning of Brahmaji's life when Brahmaji takes birth. So before that, this universe must be ready. So how this universe will be formed, we have discussed this. And then there is a universal shell, then Garbhodaksha Vishnu enters. I'll tell in short. So first, the Dravya comes out from the body pores of Karanodaksha Vishnu. Then Supreme Lord Karanodaksha Vishnu glances on this Dravya and he impregnates it with Jiva, Kala, Karma and Swabhava. So then it transforms into Pradhana, then Pradhana becomes Mahatattva, then Mahatattva transforms into under three modes, and it transforms into Ahankar, basically in the mode of ignorance. From the ignorance, under the three modes, various elements they come, various senses they come, sense devatas come, and they all form this universal shell. In this universal cell, Karanodaksha Vishnu expands and enters as Garbhodaksha Vishnu. From that Garbhodaksha Vishnu, he fills the half of the universe with his own perspiration. Then from the navel of Garbhodaksha Vishnu, Brahmaji takes birth. So this is all Sarga. So after Brahmaji is born, then he creates all the living entities, various species, all the 14 planetary systems. That is called secondary creation or Visarga. So therefore, now Shukdev Goswami says, I'll tell you more about, divisions of time, because Parikshit Maharaj asked about divisions of time also. So he says, I'll tell you about these divisions of time later, which he tells in the 3rd Canto, 11th chapter. So he says, now hear from me about Padma Kalpa. What is this Padma Kalpa? So Padma Kalpa is the first day of a month of Brahma. And that is called Padma Kalpa. All the different days, there are 30 days in a month. So every day is named differently. So this Padma Kalpa is also called Varaha Kalpa, because in that Kalpa, Shweta Varaha incarnates. So he says, I'll tell you about this Padma Kalpa. So this is the Padma Kalpa, the first day of the first month of the second half of Brahma's life. This is the present Kalpa. Brahma ji ka kitna saal ho gaya? 50 years, first month, first day is going on. So that is what the age of Brahmaji is. So then, actually this topic of Padma Kalpa, Shukdev Goswami said, I'll describe you about Padma Kalpa. But actually this story of Padma Kalpa, topic of Padma Kalpa gets delayed. Why it gets delayed? Because Shaunakadi Rishis, they express their eagerness to hear about Vidura Maitreya Samvad. So the sages, they ask Suta Goswami that, in the first canto, 13th chapter, we discussed the story. Earlier you had told us about Vidura meeting Maitreya. So please tell us about that. Please tell us about, so they ask three things. Please tell us the conversation which happened between Vidura and Maitreya. please tell us that you had told that you gave up, Vidura gave up his family and he went to pilgrimage. So please tell us the reason for Vidura's giving up his family, because to give up family is not so easy. How come Vidura gave up his family, and why did he came again? That is the second question. And third question they ask, please tell us about the activities of Vidura on his pilgrimage. So when Shaunaka Rishis, they make this request, so then Suta Goswami, he starts answering. He says, okay, please listen attentively as I explain to you the very subjects explained by Shukdev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. So what happened? Just as Shaunaka Rishis, they are asking Suta Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj also asked the question from Shukdev Goswami. Same questions about Vidura Maitreya Samvad. So that forms the whole third canto and the fourth canto. So this is the end of second canto. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. So if anybody has any questions, they can ask. Vishnu is the creator, maintainer and destroyer of the world, but many people follow other trinity like Shiva, Brahma and Vishnu. Why is this so? Yeah, actually, this Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh, they are called Guna Avataras of Lord. So there is a whole hierarchy of incarnation. So first Krishna expands as Balaram. Balaram expands as Chaturvyuha, Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna and Aniruddha. So from Sankarshan, again a Chaturvyuha comes. Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna and Aniruddha. Then from the second Vasudeva, the various avatars they come. There are Purusha avatars, there are Guna avatars, there are Leela avatars, there are Shaktyavesh avatar. So these Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, they are the Guna avatar of Lord Vasudeva. So therefore, they are coming from the Supreme Lord Krishna only. So that's why people, they worship different devatas based on their different modes. Lord Shiva is worshipped by people predominantly in the mode of ignorance. Brahmaji is worshipped by those in the mode of passion, because Brahmaji is the deity of mode of passion. He creates, and Lord Vishnu is in the mode of goodness. So that's how this various types of people, they are worshipping various devatas and Lord Shiva and Brahma and Vishnu. Is it possible for us to get the complete flow of questions and by Parikshit Maharaj, Shaunaka Rishis and answer so we can understand Bhagavatam? Yeah, we can get, but it will take some time, So it will not be so easy that you'll understand all the flow and everything in one go, because as we are going slowly, be patient. We'll discuss this whole Bhagavatam, and then as we are discussing Bhagavatam will get a flow also. So slowly the flow will be formed in the mind also. I will put the complete flows, slides also, flow charts also. So there is one book which is written by our Gaurang Darshan Prabhu about this whole Bhagavatam, that is called Bhagavat Subodhini. So that describes in very detail the flow of the various chapters, all the verses, translations. So we can refer to those books. They are available online also. You can order them. So that will be more helpful. And of course, we'll get a flow also, don't worry. So the topics of the 10 topics of Bhagavatam, they are first and second verse of the 10th chapter, 2, 10, 1 and 2. So these are the 10 topics of Bhagavatam. Okay, so we'll stop here. So we'll start the third canto tomorrow. Anybody has any other questions? Okay, so we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada.